Hello and welcome back to another episode of Real Estate Renovators, the business advisory show for real estate professionals. I'm Chanell and this is Rex.
How are you, Chanell?
I am, well, Rexy. It's the middle of winter at the moment and it probably will be when this episode airs, and it's about 2 degrees from where we're filming, so I'm a little bit chilly, but excited about the guest that we've got on today.
I'm excited as well. We've had a lot of guests on our show with big franchise groups and even guests who talk about how good a franchise is and alike. And for once we have the opposite. So our guest today is one of the top agents in Victoria. He was number 2 in Herald Sun for under 35, one of the top agents with REIB, one of the top agents with realestate.com. So he's the man, I suppose. But what a lot of people don't do, he's gone from a franchise group into his own independent. He's building his own brand now. And I think it's a fascinating story. So without me wasting more airtime, would you like to introduce our next guest?
Absolutely. Welcome, Mr. Chen. How are you, Kelvin?
Very good, thank you. Thank you for the
CHN Real Estate.
Should have added that in, CHN Real Estate.
Yes, thank you for the beautiful introduction. I'm not sure if I can top that off now.
Oh, I'm sure you can, mate. And I already touched on some of your accolades. Like you've got so many, even your previous franchise group, you're the number 1 agent in that group. Let's talk about your history and how you started in real estate to become such a great agent.
Sure. So I joined the industry about 7 years ago. I kind of fell into the industry like most people did, by accident rather than by, strategic plan, I would say. So that's 7 years ago I started.
How did you fall into it by accident?
So my best friend was working in the office and company that I'm working in at the moment. Yep. So he was working in there and then he brought me in along. So basically the company at first they wanted a role, someone to do property management. I said no, I don't want to be a property manager. And then a few months later a sales role opened up and I went in and joined the company.
7 years is not long.
To be the number 1 across multiple different, real estate platforms.
Yeah. And a partner now too.
Yeah, director.
How do you become number 1? What does your day-to-day look like for you to get to that level of success?
Well, first of all, you got to have a very, if you've got a partner, you got to have a very understanding partner, because long hours, day and night. So
and you've got 2 young children as well, 2 and 4. So how do you juggle being a dad and...
Wait, let's start with how you become number 1 before we talk about juggling, Rexy.
Well, I never set out to be, I guess, number 1. It kind of just happened by accident. I think I was in the previous franchise group. I was the rising star in my first year. After the rising star, I was getting into the top 10. I was probably, top 5. A few years in a row, I was, number 3, number 2, number 4. Actually, I don't think I ever got to number 2. So it was just, I think I was number 4. And then from number 4, and then the year after, I got to number 1. Wow. So,
but how do you do it? Like 7 years is not long in any career. Yeah. And to go from no experience in a career to a number 1 agent and a director. And
falling into it and not setting out to be number 1.
No, well, not even setting out to be in real estate in the first place. How do you get listings so easily? How do you sell so easily? What is your secrets?
I think the good thing when I joined our company was it was very fresh, new. So there was a lot of opportunities to grow. I know some of my friends, colleagues, they've been in a situation, especially if they're some of the more established companies, where they've had to, for example, work 3 years as a sales cadet before they actually start seeing any real action. Whereas when I came in, kind of 6 months in, I was already independent and just doing things on my own. So moved in very quickly, obviously worked really hard, and my, I guess, focus was never, there's agents who talk about, it takes 10 years, 15, 20 years to become successful and build a brand. I wanted to, find out what are the shortcuts per se in the real estate industry. So, you don't need to be in there for 10 years or 15 years before you build that traction.
What are the shortcuts?
The shortcuts are, I guess, just doing the things that a lot of people don't want to do. So spending a lot on marketing. So instead of, keeping all the profits to yourself, reinvesting that money back into, personal marketing, and also building a team as well. Also things like, prospecting, very strong on prospecting, whether that's door knocking, cold calling. I guess a lot of agents do that, but, I think maybe the hours that we did put in, especially in the early days, really helped us to establish ourselves in our area.
You've got a different career projection than some. Like you hear other agencies like they've worked for 3 years as a sales cadet, they've had mentorship, they've had training. Sounds like within 6 months, you're out there doing it on your own. Did you have that mentorship and training?
Yeah, so basically when I joined, my director at that time and now my business partner, Chen, he was already $1 million agent when he started the office. So, it was really good to I was working with him in a team as a partnership. So I was in effectively his EBU. And then we were sharing everything that we got. So that was really a big learning experience for me. So, he would take me into listening presentations, vice versa. So I got to learn from $1 million agent 7 years ago. And then that really quickly probably accelerated my growth, rather than, if I was out there by myself trying to learn it all by myself.
So mentorship is critical, so you can replicate what you're seeing someone else do into your own business model. Is that right?
Correct. I think partnering up with a strong company or a strong team, someone who's done it before, obviously they can show you the ropes on how to write $1 million, how to write $2 million, how to grow a company. These are things that you can't do by yourself. You do need to partner up with someone and learn from the best.
And you think that's critical for junior agents coming into the industry, Calvin, that they really need to partner with someone that's a high-profile mentor to really emulate what they're doing? Do you think that was the reason for your success?
I think it will definitely help fast-track your success. And also real estate can be quite a lonely journey if you're just doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
So, you can get knocked down. And you can give up quite easily, and I've seen a lot of people come in and out of the industry. They might give it 6 months or 12 months. They start with a lot of energy and enthusiasm, but after a while, if they're not getting the runs on the board, they do lose focus and they might leave the industry. And it doesn't mean that you weren't suited for the industry or the role, but I think it's probably because you didn't have that guidance and mentorship. Then, that's probably what caused them.
Well, when you're working 12-hour days and Saturdays when all your friends are out and about and you're only making $45,000 a year and not seeing any commission, it does seem like a thankless career, doesn't it? The only way to continue and gain momentum is to have that financial reward, which is very hard for a lot of the junior agents coming in.
Yeah, correct. So, I mean,
vision. Yeah. It sounds like you may have not had the financial report in the first 6 months, but you had this vision of working with a $1 million writer, so you could see what he was doing, you could probably see yourself learning.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first started, I remember, I wasn't making much money and I had a lot of expenses. I had a high car loan, I had rent to pay. What I was getting was not enough to cover expenses. So I remember about that 6 month mark, I nearly, I tried to put my car on Uber to see if I could be a Uber driver. But my car was only seats 4 people, so Uber kind of knocked me back and said you can't be a Uber driver. So that was at the end to my Uber career. That was something that I wanted to do to try and supplement my income in real estate, but thankfully I didn't get that because that would have divided my focus and energy and attention away from real estate. I think it's better to invest 100% of your energy and time in real estate rather than doing 50% here, 20% or 30% in other.
Well, even just reinvesting yourself, Calvin. I don't hear many agents before they become directors actually investing in themselves, and they're the first to put their hands up and complain that their franchise aren't investing in their own personal marketing or professional photography outside of their REA pick.
Yep.
Whereas you mentioned that you were reinvesting in yourself and your marketing. What were you doing?
So the other good thing about us, and probably one of the reasons why our company has grown so quickly, was that not only do the sales staff invest in their marketing, but the company also invests in the marketing as well. So we are offering more incentives to the salespeople, and that's being able to push our marketing to the next level, get our name out there more quickly, whether it's on social media, letter drops. We'll probably do too many letter drops, I would say.
No such thing as there.
But we do invest a lot more in those type of marketing, rather than, for us, especially because we're quite young, it's not really about how much money we're making now. Obviously, we can make great money, but we rather invest now, build the business, build it for the long term. And then, now I guess we're enjoying the fruits of our labor, that we're getting a lot of, for example, inbound calls, a lot of people calling us just because they see our branding, they see our profile, rather than, doing a lot of that cold prospecting that a lot of agents don't enjoy.
Here you go, Rex.
And recently, you've gone from a brand to an independent. You made your own brand and you've set up your own office. And, it sounds like you've gone from strength to strength. But it's a tough decision. Like a lot of people may not be happy with their current brand, but if they leave, they'll go to another brand. Very few people leave a brand and set up their own independent. Right. Can you talk us through the thought process? Was it scary?
Well, it is, I guess at the start, it's a bit of the fear of the unknown. You don't know what to expect. But if you really drill down and take the time to think about it, it's really not that difficult. And I guess in real estate, everyone knows that people go with the agent. They list with the agent. They don't list with the brand. And all my clients, they don't mind which brand I'm with. They're coming because they've had an existing relationship with me. They've had a good experience with me, whether that's buying a home or selling a home. And that's why ultimately they're going to choose you, because you're going to get the best outcome and give them the best service. And I guess we had a long-term vision as well, so we didn't really see ourselves working within one geographical area or office, for the next 30 years of my career. I mean, I'm only 30, turning 32 this year, so there's plenty of time and room to grow. So I'm seeing myself, where can we take this business, not in the next 5 years, but where can we take it in the next 30 years? Because probably longer, because I can't see myself retiring anytime soon. Yeah.
Touching on the rebrand, Calvin, a lot of rumours, particularly in the real estate industry. People love to talk. I know we really wanted to address a particular rumour about why you left your last franchise that you were a part of. What ultimately led to the decision to exit that franchise to create your own?
So there was a few things. I think, as in maybe a lot of big corporates, they've got territories, and we did have, certain conflicts between offices about, listing in this area and that area. And we felt like a lot of the decisions were not done impartially. So a lot of decisions went against us. And I would say we were out of franchise agreement for about 2 years. So we were considering our options, and our option, as I mentioned to you before, we didn't want to kind of tie ourselves to one area, because we opened, while we were within that franchise group, we opened a second office with another business partner, but every time you wanted to do that, you had to seek approval, and you had to make sure that there wasn't an office already in that area. So our vision is not to be kind of just tied within a certain geographical eastern suburb type of corridor thing. We want to expand and grow our business, and we feel like a lot of franchisors as well at the moment, traditionally, all they provide is kind of the website and maybe the branding, but there's not much, I guess, support outside of that. And we feel like we could offer something a little bit different to people that join our business. As you can see, we invest a lot in the marketing of our sales staff. We're a lot more hands-on. We're in the business, whereas traditionally there's a lot of franchisors that they're probably in holiday,
or live interstate or whatever the case. Yeah,
they're not really in the business anymore. They're just sitting there and enjoying, getting that passive income, whereas we're actively trying to grow the income of the business.
And sorry, Rex, is the plan to franchise the CHN Real Estate?
Yeah, that is the plan. I mean, look, it's probably not going to happen straight away. As with most things, it's going to take time.
Yeah.
But we're just excited for the journey. As I mentioned, we want to create a company that's going to last for a very, very long time, and not just going to be here for a few years. So that's our long-term vision.
And sounds like you don't have any restrictions on you now. Like you can list anywhere.
Well, it's a big frustration, Rex. A lot of real estate directors that are within franchise groups that want to expand, you can't because there's another office in another territory. So you sort of reach that limit. You can continue growing in size, covering one particular area, or you become an independent. And I guess the hardest part about it being an independent though, Calvin, and forgive me if I'm wrong, you're then up against other franchises in that area that might have stronger presence from the get-go as opposed to a new brand. Right. How has it been received from your, past vendors or from the general public, that rebrand?
Yeah, look, I think at the start there's going to have its challenges. You're probably going to lose a few listings here and there, but we look at things from a more of a long-term perspective because, okay, you might lose a few listings here, but you're going to gain so much on the other end as well. And I think it's all about time. Like when we started 7 years ago, the franchise group that we were in, they had no market share in the area that we're in. There were no neighbouring offices. So, we built up that market share in 7 years' time. And I'm sure, in another 7 years' time, we're not starting from zero as well. We've got an already established rent roll office that, transacts nearly 400 properties per year. So, we're just going to take that base and grow. I know there's a lot of people who've done a similar journey, but they might have started from zero and they've had to build it from ground up.
Yeah.
We've got a team of, about 30 staff in our office. So, it's much easier for us, I would say.
And your personal transition from being, it hasn't been long, from 7 years, from being a star to within 6 months.
Yeah, lots happened in 7 years.
Lots happened, but now you're a director, you've got a team of 30 people. How has that been for you to a leader, I suppose, from a startup to a leader?
Look, I think for, a lot of salespeople, especially, if they need to decide, what they want to do. Do they want to just list and sell, or do they want to be part of a business and build an asset there that's going to grow in the long term? There's different models. It depends on your personality and where you see your future. Obviously, I could be within a franchise group getting a good split and just list and sell. But, we see ourselves as doing a bit more than that. And nowadays, we've got effectively a lot of EBUs within our team, and, I'm very hands-on as well. Jim's more of the business side of things, managing HR, property management, and the business. And I'm more about, the sales, giving sales training to our staff, making sure that, people are accountable and doing all the daily tasks. So there's a bit of both.
And synergy.
Yeah, correct. So he, I guess, we made that transition, a few years in our journey where he transitioned from listing and selling like I was. We were both, working really hard listing and selling, and then we decided, okay, we're going to make that transition where, he's more the principal managing the business and I'm more about the listing and selling.
Yes, a lot of big offices, a good office, I know, have a similar model, but it's a hard transition to find the right partner to talk with as well.
What is the dynamic like with you and Jim as business partners?
Well, it's really good. I mean, he does the things that I'm not doing, and I do the things that he's not doing. So I think that's great synergy, because if we were both listing and selling, then no one would be, focusing on growing the business. And I think the way it's structured is quite well, because, for example, I help a lot of the staff, get listings. So not only am I doing my own things, but I'm also helping the staff, grow their teams, and also going into listing presentations with them, with my brand and profile, to help them try and secure listings. And I guess, Jim managed the business side of things as well. And I think that's what's really taken our business from where, me and Jim were generating most of the income in the business to now where we're just probably a minority. What we're making is a minority of the profit of the business.
Which is fantastic. Well, what most business owners probably want, but hard to do or hard to get off the tools.
And you started your career with Jim, right? So 7 years ago when you first entered real estate, it was Jim who you were working under.
Right.
And then over 7 years, you've now become a business partner to him. Is that dynamic strange to when you look back and you started as entry level to now business partnership? It's incredible, but is it sometimes a bit of a strange dynamic in any sense, or it's all been really?
I think it's a great testament to the company that
Totally.
I didn't have any prior relationship with him joining the company. We weren't friends or anything like that. So it shows that anyone can come into this company, and doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, as long as you're bringing great value to the company, you can make it and make more and more money. Like we've got, at the moment, we've just had $2 million agents. So 2 agents write $1 million. One was writing $500,000 last year and now has just hit $1 million. So, that's probably what, excites us. The fact that, you don't need to be in the industry for a very long time, because the guy that's just written $1 million, he joined in 2021.
Wow.
And he joined as my...
What are you feeding them over there, Calvin? But what are you doing in the day to day? And I don't want you to give away too many of your secrets, but I speak to directors all the time. That's what I do for a living. And the biggest issue is that they find it so difficult to get people off the ground. Or it's not even the day to day, to get them motivated enough to want them to want more. What is there a particular kind of person that you're hiring, or is there a particular sort of way that you're training them that is different to your competitors, and what does that look like?
Look, I mean, me and Jim, we're both relatively young, so we probably appeal more to a younger demographic that wants to join us, and we can kind of show them, how we did it. So I think a lot of people are excited when they come and see us. And the fact that, me and Jim, we don't have a prior relationship, just shows that, you don't need to be related, a relative of the director, or have to know someone to make it.
And do it for 10 years,
Yeah, and I think a lot of directors, what I've seen is they try to hold the agents back. If they've got the ability, they don't want them to maybe outshine them or do too much too soon. But I think, if you're good enough, you're good enough. No one can take that away from you, whether you've been there for 1 year or 10 years.
And how do you identify this when you're interviewing people? Or how are you recruiting and retaining? Like, is there a particular, personality trait or a particular kind of person that you look for in your business?
We're looking for, energetic and hungry individuals, people who want to make it out there on their own. But I guess most people in the interview process, they're going to tell you, how great they are, how hungry they are. And sometimes you won't know until you give it a try. So, you sometimes have to go through some of the numbers and find out, give them a trial period, probation period, whether that's 6 months or a little bit longer, and see if they are really cut out for the industry. So, we have, new people joining all the time, and currently I'm training some of them as well. So, and they look pretty good from what I can see, but you never know, they might lose focus or motivation in 6 months' time. But the good thing is, because we're talking to them every day, so we know exactly how they're feeling, what areas they lack in, and we try and give training around those areas.
When you Rexy, did you want to go? When you rebranded from the previous brand to CHN Realty, how was that received by the existing employees? And how did you break that news to them?
So I guess there was already, people were talking in the industry about it as well. So we did break it out to them as a kind of in the sales meeting. And we did speak to, I guess, generally the leadership team and people who were a bit more senior in the company, just let them know this is what's happening, is everyone feeling comfortable? And what we could see is that everyone was, had a similar vision, and they were all, hungry for more success. They said, and because a lot of the issues that we had with the corporate and other offices were because of our sales staff, and they were getting disadvantaged on rulings by head office. So a lot of them were happy about the change. Obviously, not everyone's going to be feeling the same. There were a few people who were a bit unsure what that means to them, because they haven't established themselves in the market yet. So making that transition might be a little bit harder. But what we found is the transition actually being a lot easier and smoother than we imagined.
Great.
We thought, maybe our listing numbers or our profit may come down, but if anything, it's probably stayed the same, and it's only been less than 2 months.
And if anything, I think it's going to increase, because now your catchment, you can list and sell anyway. You're not restricted.
And is there sorry, and this might be a slightly more legal question as well. If you within a franchise and then you obviously become an independent, are you hit with non-competes or restraint periods, or
There
that doesn't
are
happen when you-
provisions like that in most franchises, whether enforceable or not, and how long the franchise come to an end. There's legalities, but we were fortunate enough to be entrusted by Jim and Calvin to act, so we can't talk too much about it, but it was an amicable departure in the end.
Great.
Exactly.
Fantastic. You go, Rexy. Sorry, I keep cutting you off. There's so many questions to ask.
What does the future hold? Let's actually go back one. CHN. For those that don't know what CHN stands for, do you want to tell us what it is? Because it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, so look, we played with a lot of different names for a long time. Some we just thought, were quite catchy. Or
What didn't make the cut? I want to hear some of them.
one was
UNO.
didn't
Like
make the cut.
UNO.
UNO, yeah. So that was something that we thought about, like under no one. So so that was. But then some of the team thought, people were going to get confused
With the game.
With the game. Not our trading name. Our company name is BWS Real Estate. So we thought about BWS, but then sounds too similar to the liquor store.
Yeah.
So, and then we saw most of the franchises out there, they've got a name, like a surname, and then we thought, okay, well, me and Jim, we're going to a partnership. His last name is Chen, CHEN. My last name is CHAN. Our common letters, what do we share in common? CHN. So it was just a combination of our names. So it worked out well. It was just kind of like a light bulb moment for us.
Was it hard to pick a logo and website designs and all
I'm sure
this stuff?
a lot of people watching this, Calvin, would be interested, or maybe potentially, they're at the end of their franchise agreement and really considering becoming an independent. So this story is going to be really valuable for anyone that's thinking about making that change. So the first step is obviously ending your franchise agreement. The second step,
where you stand
what do
first.
the steps look like when this wasn't an overnight decision. This was months and months in the works. What does the process look like?
I think one thing you can do is give Rex a call.
No,
and you can also give me a call, and we can walk you through that process. But I think first things first is you got to decide what is it you want to achieve. What's your vision? Are you going to thrive better within a existing large corporate, which they have maybe a good, great branding, or they've been there for a long time, but what type of support do they actually offer you? Can you offer better support, just doing it by yourself? If I was, doing this with just, let's say, by myself and I didn't have my business partner, Jim, I probably wouldn't want to take that leap because I don't have that support to run the business while I list and sell.
But he'd probably say the same if it was without you.
Correct. But I guess at the same time, we are wanting to build a business that, it's not just because of one person. It's if I take a holiday or if one of us retires in the future, the company's going to keep running. So that's really important to try and get off the tools. Because if you're the one listing and selling, then you're generating all the profit. And
Do you have concerns? Like, I feel like some directors don't want to get off the tools, or they limit their sales agents not to shine too much because they feel like, well, he's doing all the listings. What if he leaves?
Yeah.
He's not a partner. And, do you have those fears, and how do you address those fears?
Look, I think that's probably one of the opportunities that we were able to offer with the rebranding, because with the rebranding now, we can go anywhere we want. We can open offices anywhere we want. So when our sales staff are hitting $1 million or more, if there is that ambition to, open a flag store or a second office or a third office, there is that opportunity. Whereas, as I said before, within the franchise group, you got to ask for permission in anything that you do.
And you're restricted on where you can open.
But also some pretty substantial franchise fees as well.
Correct. Substantial fees, and we just felt like we weren't getting our return on investment for because we were becoming one of the top offices within the group, and it just didn't make sense that we were paying so much out for not much support.
Where do you feel like you weren't getting that return on investment? Out of curiosity, was it support from a rental rentals? Was it the training development? Was it legal HR? Like, which elements did you find that really wasn't giving you enough support?
Don't get me wrong. I mean, they've got a good brand. They've got good events and things like that, which is great. But we were probably looking for a bit more guidance on how to grow the business, how to, when we joined the franchise group, we were, probably the worst office because we had 0 GCI. So we were not making that much money. And then we were able to grow the business by ourselves with our own vision and with our own training that we did outside of, the franchise group. And we were able to grow to one of the best businesses in Victoria. So we felt like, there's not much point for us to be in a group that doesn't offer guidance, I feel, in order how to grow the rent roll, how to grow the business from, right now we're writing about 7 to 8 million GCI. What's that next future growth for us? Because we want to grow to, for example, 20 million, 10 million, 20 million GCI. And we felt like there wasn't any office within the network that had that. And no one was growing as fast as us. So we felt, we could do a better job on our own and showing other people, whether it's salespeople or office owners, how we've been able to achieve this success so quickly.
Sounds like you'd outgrow any franchise group, Calvin. Some people are just not made to be in any sort of confinement. They need to have their own thing, their own brand, create their own franchise. So very few people that can think that big, and it certainly sounds like wasn't that particular franchise group that you were working with, but any franchise group.
Yeah.
Your vision was bigger than just what can be confined within one group.
Yeah, and that's the thing. A lot of people ask us, you're going to consider any other franchise groups, and we just felt like it's much of the
Yeah.
same.
It's still going to be restricted.
It's much of the same.
Well, there's only so much a franchise group can offer. When you have a vision that's so large, you can outgrow that. You because when you get to a level where you want to open up secondary offices, but you can't because there's restraints or other offices of that area. There's only so much a franchise group can do. To then you go, well, I'm too big for this. I need to go out and spread my wings and create my own brand.
Correct. And I feel like there will be a shift in, I think, a lot of franchise groups have been complacent. They haven't
There's
had
not many
to.
new franchise
Correct.
groups around.
I think a lot try to pop up, but there's very few. There's not that there's very few. There's very few that do well.
Yeah.
They'll do okay.
They do okay, but there's not one that I could say in the last 5 years that has popped out and done exceptional things. Because they I don't know. Not to say that you wouldn't, but I'm just saying as of now.
I feel like the value proposition that they offer is all quite similar. So we want to kind of, change the industry a bit because it's being led by people who are in that stage where, they are probably looking at retirement. They're probably not looking at, growth per se. So how can we shift that focus to, because a lot of real estate salespeople is from a younger demographic. How can they relate to someone who's 60 or 70 years old who was listing 30 years ago? It's a totally different
I
industry.
agree. We look at the two biggest franchises in Victoria. We're fortunate enough that Rex and I have had both of the CEOs on our show, and both of the franchise groups that have recently appointed new CEOs have appointed very young, fresh off the tools as the leaders of their business, because I think the franchise groups are going, we need to now bring in people that really understand the frustrations, trials and tribulations of being a business owner. And that's where the direction of real estate, I feel personally, is going. It's less, old men in suits behind closed doors.
Right.
You're not old. You're not old. And more relatable young people that really see that, like, they've been business owners and they know what vision the business owner wants to go in. And I think that's really exciting for our industry. Yeah. But Calvin, what is the value proposition? Proposition. It's very cold in here of CHN. You mentioned you want to create a franchise that's different from the others. Yep. What does that look like for CHN?
So we want to be much more hands-on in terms of how we offer, for example, back-end support. So, we are, without giving all our secrets away.
Yes, please don't.
So I think one thing, we've seen a big shift in how teams are run. So, for example, traditionally there's been a lot of people, sales agent, PA, who's going to do all the admin type of work. What we've done at our office is we've taken a lot of that admin away from the sales agent, so they don't have to employ, for example, a PA to do those things. So it helps them to increase their profits.
Are you talking virtual assistants or?
Yeah, virtual assistants,
Yeah.
and also we've also got on-site assistants as well.
Yeah.
To help with that process. So it just allows the sales agent to focus on what they're good at. So they don't need to worry about, for example, some of the compliance and some of the admin things that sales agents hate. So they've got more time to spend on servicing the clients and growing their business.
And recruitment, is that a big part for you now?
Yeah, recruitment's a big part for us. So, we're always learning. We're always trying to see who are the best in the industry that we can learn from. So recruitment, I think, is a big piece of the difference, compared to us and some other companies. Other companies are happy with what they have, but we're very active in recruiting, and we'll probably need to speak to someone like Chanell that can help us with that.
It'd be a pleasure.
Yeah.
And what about new offices? So sounds like it's on the cards to expand more.
How exciting.
Yeah.
And it's only been open for a
Couple
couple of months, and your vision is to already expand and take your $1 million agents and potentially give them partnership within the space of 3 months. This guy wasn't joking when he said he didn't want to wait 10 years to be successful.
He hasn't been around for like 7 years. It's not so much.
I know.
Yeah, so look, I'm not going to give the secrets away, but yeah, that is in the works. These are things that we're looking at. And right now, where our office is, our focus is around the Whitehorse, Manningham, Burundara area. So we've got strong market share in those areas, and I think we want to grow nearby.
If there's an existing office or a good agent out there and they want to set up a CHN, they can contact you?
Yeah, definitely. We're always open.
They contact me. Thank you, Rex. And then I contact them. I'm just joking.
And then Rex will prepare the franchise agreement.
Yeah, it's a one-stop shop for you guys.
But in terms of that's your vision now to...
Yeah, that's our vision. I mean, I think, the thing is we need new challenges as well. Being business people, like, there's always, there's only so much listing and selling you can do. And, if you're doing it over a long period of time, it can get a bit repetitive. So, we're in that new phase of growth where we want to grow the office and also grow the network, and just helping more franchisees get better value rather than just relying on, the website and relying on, we've got a big network, but we know, it doesn't mean too much.
Unfortunately, there's not many new franchises. All the big franchises have been around for a long time, and the people who create them are not listing and selling anymore and haven't for many, many years. So
Right.
it's very fresh or refreshing to see, two young, really up and coming, not even up and coming, you guys are already well established.
Yeah. Look, I think a lot of companies had to make that decision and journey early on in their piece. So, whether that was 50 years ago, 100 years ago, they decided they would go out on their own and do the franchising. I think Victoria can be quite a traditional marketplace. I think if we look at other states, there's probably a bit more going on. But yeah, I think Victoria is still kind of like the safety net
You're
behind
still
it.
recovering mentally, I think.
Look, we want to shake the industry. We want to change it for the better, and give our sales agents. I think at the end of the day, they're our clients now. That's how we see it. How do we service our sales agents as our clients to
Well,
make
you mentioned you've gone someone from $500,000 to $1 million in 1 year. That's an impressive increase.
I'm so excited to see where the future goes. I was going to say we have to have you on again, but the next time we have you on, you probably own half the world, Calvin. Blink your eyes and he's, sold at 50 houses. But no, I'm so excited. That your brand CHN Realty sounds like a breath of fresh air and a real shift up for the industry. So we are so excited. I think in 6 months or 12 months, we need to have you back on and see where you've taken the group.
Yeah, sure.
How many new
definitely.
offices you have set up?
Yeah.
Definitely.
And in the meantime, if you want to speak to Calvin, you contact me. I'm joking. But if you are an agent watching and you're excited by this brand and you feel really aligned to what Calvin's saying, it's a really good time to reach out because clearly in a really, really big growth phase.
Yeah, definitely.
Any parting words, Calvin?
I spoke so much. I think I've kind of said it all. So thank you for giving me this platform, CHN this platform to share our experience. And
Thank you for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. You've got 30 staff, you've got a new brand, you've got a lot of
babies.
new babies, 2 babies.
yeah, hopefully more. We'll see. Yeah, not a problem. Well, yeah, thank you. And as Chanell mentioned, anyone that wants to reach out, I'm quite friendly. So I'm quite friendly. So very open to having a coffee with anyone that's interested in joining the
very
industry.
humble too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, thank you
Okay,
so much,
thank you.
Calvin. Really
No
appreciate it. And thank you for watching another episode of Real Estate Renovators. See you next time.